Power. And I am your host, Darwin Griffin, and you probably can see we have a familiar person here on the set this morning who is no stranger to Washtenaw County because she is the newly elected first African American female to the position of treasurer in Washtenaw County, and this is none other than Letitia Sharp. Ms. Sharp,
Good morning.
welcome back.
Hey, good morning. I just want to add to that. I am the first African American in this role, period.
Oh,
Ever.
wow. So this is a icon that I'm sitting next to then today,
You
isn't
know
it?
what? It's all God's doing. It's all His doing.
Absolutely, all the time, all the time.
Yes.
But, we are so fortunate today to have Letitia here with us today. She's been here with Truth to Power since its inception. And there's so many things that we are really thankful for when it comes to Letitia, because Letitia was very instrumental in that music that everybody hears in the beginning. That's TMF, the Music
TMF.
Forever. And Letitia, I'll let you give a little bit of the background about that music. And we had your brother-in-law on the show with us a few weeks ago, and I know they just received a lot of recognition at the Grammys. But I'll let you kind of do the intro about that music and who that is and who composed that music and who's performing on it and all that good stuff.
Well, it's no secret that I love TMF and I love Frankie Beverly's old music and just that group of guys in general. So that particular song was written by Rome, who's one of the oldest living original members of Maze, of Frankie Beverly and Maze. And they were, Mr. Beverly just received a Lifetime of Achievement Award at the Grammys just recently, last weekend. It's just unfortunate that he was not here to receive that. And this is why it's always important to recognize people when you can. So, Rome and my sister and Frankie's son, who received the award, accepted the award on behalf of his dad, was there, and it was really nice to see them to do that. So but this particular song that you hear in the intro, that is TMF, who are the original band members of Maze, of Frankie Beverly and Maze. So they're under the name now of TMF, which means the music forever. And a couple weeks ago, when you talk with Rome, he kind of explained what that means, is that music really never dies. And so when you get a hold of some good music and the wonderful artists that are out there, even though they have left us, the music itself still lives with us. So that's the reason for that particular song. I encourage anyone, whenever you hear that they're in town, I'm trying to get them to come here to Detroit, and whenever you hear they're in town, you can come back and you can hear that same soulful, playful music that was originated many, many, many years ago under the name of Frankie Beverly featuring Maze, or Maze featuring Frankie Beverly. They're one big happy family, and I'm just glad to have known them. And like I said, I encourage anyone, if you hear that TMF is in town or the Music Forever is in town, you really need to go out and see them, and you will go back to those days.
Well, it's very, very obvious that you have been missed on this show. You just bring that vibrant personality to the show. And I've had some great co-hosts since Truth to Power has originated, but you always have a open invitation to always come back.
Wow.
We know how busy your schedule is. We are very appreciative that you, as the newly elected treasurer for Washtenaw County, have a variety of duties that you are responsible for. And you have a lot of tax-paying constituents that live in your district
Yeah.
that are dependent upon you and other treasurers throughout the state. And this was a show today that pretty much originated because when Letitia was running, um, we couldn't promote her
Right.
while she was running as a candidate for Washtenaw County Treasurer.
Yep.
But what it did do was that it gave people an opportunity to see her, to see her face, to hear her, and when she would go out to do campaign stops at different places, they knew who she was by her, by her voice, by her face. And when they saw the literature that come in the mail, or they saw other campaign literature that you passed out, that pretty much like gave you an opportunity that people did not have to go and be told that you were running for treasurer. The minute they saw your face, they knew automatically who you were and what you were a candidate for. So that was very important, right there. But just before we get started with our other guests, because we've got several other treasurers, and what Letitia had asked was that we go and we have a opportunity to go and meet with other treasurers here in the state of Michigan. And today we'll be joined by, on the phone, we'll be joined by the Cass County treasurer, and her name is Hope Anderson. And for some of you that may not know where Cass County is at, Cass County is located on the far western portion of the state. And we also will be joined by a gentleman who needs probably very, very little introduction. And that individual, as many of you know, when you see his name, you see his face, you're either looking at him and saying, okay, I know it's time to pay my taxes, or you're probably happy because you have paid your taxes and you're just getting an update on some of the different taxes that you may be asked to pay. And his name is Eric Sabree. And the one thing that's great when it comes to seeing Mr. Sabree again is the fact that the last time I saw him was at a situation where we were mourning the loss of a great friend of ours, and that was a lady, she was on the city council for Romulus, and her name was Virginia Williams. But it's great to see him in a different capacity, to see that smiling face, to get an opportunity to go, and when you see Treasurer Sabree smiling, you know you are in good shape. So you don't want to see him looking at you frowning. That's the one thing. Or you don't want to see any treasurer looking at you frowning throughout the state. But we are joined also by, in the studio by the treasurer for Wayne County, and that is Mr. Eric Sabree. So we've got a full house today, and I know that Hope Anderson is on the line with us as well. So Hope, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
We have everybody in the studio and on the phone, so this is like making me just get all excited because we've got a full capacity of questions that we can get answers for from the 3 African-American county treasurers in the great state of Michigan. Eric, welcome to Truth to Power today.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Griffin. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, when I look and see the two of you smiling, that's an important part right there. But let's ask you the question too, just to kind of get started. And I'll go with my co-host, Emeritus, Letitia Sharp. So just kind of talk, Hope, Eric, Letitia, about your humble beginnings in terms of say on a little bit about your background, where you grew up at, and then how you ascended into the position of being the treasurer of your respective counties.
First I just want to say hello to Treasurer Sabree and Treasurer Anderson on the line. I grew up in Washtenaw County. I wasn't born there, but my family moved there when I was 5 years old. So I was educated in Washtenaw County. I went to Ypsilanti Public Schools. I I went to Eastern Michigan University. I raised my daughter in Washtenaw County, and I started employment at Washtenaw County when I was 18 years old. And so I have been an employee of Washtenaw County for over 36 years, and I have worked in various departments throughout the county. In every area of government that I worked touched some portion of the financial aspects that the treasurer's office hold. At that time, I had no idea that I would one day be the county treasurer. But we don't get to prepare our future. We only can live in the present. So I made my way through the county, working through various departments. I come from a family where my mother said, we are our brother's keepers, and we are supposed to take care of each other. And I believe in government is supposed to take care of its people the same way. And so I decided to run. At the end of my 36-year career, I decided to retire and run for county treasurer, and so I'm here now. I do want to say that there was a treasurer that was my mentor, and my friend and my colleague throughout the years, and that I've known my entire years in Washtenaw County. Her name was Catherine McClary, and she supported me 110% in my running, and she's never made any. She never hesitated to say that she was honored to have a black woman to be her successor. So I just want to say that. Miss McClary unexpectedly passed away 29 days prior to me starting my term. So I actually started my term 29 days prior to my elected term, and I was appointed to complete her term. But I am committed to Washtenaw County, have been for the 36 years. This role and these folks that we have today, and I just want to go back a little bit. I asked for this show to come about because I realized in talking to Mr. Sabri, who was very connected to Washtenaw County, and I met Miss Treasurer Anderson in person, but it's a very important role, and it's very important to understand we're not just three treasurers. We're the only three African-American treasurers across the state of Michigan. So we hold the responsibility of that, but also the challenge that this is not a role that, and my colleagues can speak to that, this is not a role that's usually held by folks who look like us. So that's why it was important for me to be on this platform at this time of the year. So I'm gonna stop there.
Well, our deepest condolences and our heartfelt, prayers are sent out to, Treasurer McClary and her family.
Yes.
Because of,
Yes.
I know how much she meant to you.
Yeah.
And how much of a mentor she was for you.
And I'm just going to say this, not just to me. She was beloved across the state, across the country, and she have laid so many programs and things across. So I am on solid ground in Washtenaw County, and like I said, my colleagues can speak to that. So I'm just blessed to have known her and to be able to sit in her seat.
Well, we are very, very pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
I'll yield to Hope Anderson.
Well, then I guess
Welcome. Good morning.
Hope we're gonna yield to you then, since Treasurer Sabri said we're gonna yield to you. We're gonna yield the floor to you. So welcome to Truth to Power this morning.
Thank you, Treasurer Sabri. Well, I want to start out by apologizing for not being able to join you in person today. Unfortunately, I am short-staffed today, and I needed to be here to ensure that things run smoothly. But I do appreciate the opportunity to call in and be a part of this conversation. Thank you for your flexibility. I look forward to this conversation. Thank you, Treasurer Sharp, for putting it together. I am Hope Anderson. I have the honor of serving as the county treasurer for Cass County, Michigan. I'm probably what you'd consider the little sister at this table of icons. Cass County is a small county in terms of both of its population and land area compared to Washtenaw and Wayne County. Much of my county is rural, with agricultural and natural areas playing a significant role in our local economy. About me personally, I'm a wife. I've been married for almost 32 years. I'm looking at a dozen long stem roses that my handsome husband sent me today. So I actually have a pretty good view from where I'm sitting right now. But I'm the mother of three lovely children. My oldest, Paige, is 29 years old. Kristen's 26-year-old. And I have a son, Peyton, who's 21 years old. He's a junior at Michigan State University.
Go Spartans.
Go Spartans. I'll go green, go white.
Go white.
I'm the grandmother of 5 amazing grandchildren. I was appointed as Cass County Treasurer in 2018, and I was elected in 2020 and elected again in 2024. I'm a graduate of Western Michigan University. Prior to becoming the county treasurer, I served 17 years doing financial management for a nonprofit organization. So I didn't come to the county with any county experience. But now being in this role for 6 years, we've been able to do some great things I look forward to sharing about.
Well, we are so fortunate to have you, and then now we leave it to the treasurer of the largest county here in the state of Michigan, Treasurer Eric Sabree.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Treasurer Anderson and Treasurer Sharp.
Thank you.
I'm really blessed to have them as my colleagues as well. We have 83 counties in Michigan, and there are 3 African American treasurers, county treasurers, that we know of. See, that's what I always say to people. When you were the first African American treasurer, say that I know of.
Right.
Because we don't know the
Right.
history. A lot of times you go back in history, you find that there was someone in 1945 who was
Right, they could have been.
African-American treasurer.
Might have an ounce of that blood in them
You
that
know.
might have made them
You
right.
never know. So
Right.
I say, as far as I know, as far as my research determines, I was the first African American treasurer, and I'm honored to do that, to be able to do that. It's not just you being an African American treasurer, but it's being able to let other African American, especially children, see that this role is something that they could achieve.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's far beyond their capabilities, their goals. It's something that they could do. It's a big job, and
Yes.
I started off, doing plumbing work. I was in high school, and I was working with a friend of mine, his father, and I went to school in high school, and then I went to school at night for plumbing.
Oh, wow.
So in my senior year, I went to school for plumbing at night, and I went to school for regular high school, during the day.
Where'd you go to high school at?
I went to Catholic Central High School.
Okay.
Then I went to Cass Tech to study plumbing.
All right.
So
Okay.
That's why I
Go
say
green.
I
Go
was
technician.
still a Cass Tech student too.
He's a hard worker. That's
but
what.
but I went to school at Michigan State and studied construction.
Well, you just
management.
followed right behind me, did you? I followed behind you. Cass Tech, Spartans. Okay.
Yeah. And so when I was there, I worked in the plumbing shop the whole time I was in school. And
Okay.
so I could get my degree and my plumbing license. And I got my degree, and then I got my license a year after that. So after that, I worked in nonprofit organizations doing housing in the housing area. And then I went to work for the city of Detroit. And I worked for 18 years in building department, the housing commission, and then the planning and development department. So I worked, and Mayor Archer gave me an opportunity to get involved in management and be a manager and get, I was an appointee working in planning and development. So I learned a lot about housing and about the needs, what's going on in the city, the people understanding their needs. And so when I left the city, I went to law school in the meantime when I was at the city. And then I went to practice law for 3.5 years after I left the city. I just did real estate law. I did some immigration, and then I went to work for the Corporation Council at the county.
Okay.
I was over the real estate section, and I did that for 6 years. And then I went to work as a deputy in the treasurer's office, because the treasurer was one of our clients. So that's how I knew a little bit about the treasurer's office, I was the attorney for the treasurer. So the treasurer asked me if I wanted to come over and replace one of the deputies. So I said, let's do something different. I went over there. I didn't really know anything about the financial side of the treasurer's office. I knew mostly about the housing and the real estate part. So I went in, and I was a deputy there. And then the treasurer retired after 39 years.
Who was the treasurer
It was
then?
Ray Vojtovich was the
Okay.
treasurer. They appointed another treasurer, Richard Hathaway. He was a retired judge.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided after about 4 months that he resigned. He didn't want to do it. for health reasons, I think. And so he decided he didn't want to do it. And so I put my name in. I got appointed, and then I had to run right away. I think I had to run like a week after I got appointed. I had to file for election.
Wow.
So in 2016, I ran. I won. And then I ran again. I was reelected in 2020, and then reelected again in 2024.
So your term is every 4 years?
4 years, every
Okay.
4 years. So we just had an election, and so this is my third term right now. So I've had an opportunity to work with so many people. I just left a meeting with coming here for all the communities, Western Wayne County and Downriver community, which represents the majority of the 43 communities
Mm-hmm.
in Wayne County. So we're trying to keep people out of foreclosure and make sure that we do our settlements with the communities. We do this, we settle with them all the time, make sure everything's accurate. And it's just, so I'm just honored to be able to do the work. And I meet so many good people. That's the best part of the job. Sometimes people think that dealing with the public is the most difficult part of the job. But to me, that's the best part of the job, dealing with the public.
I agree. Yeah.
You agree with that, Hope?
I do. I agree.
Yeah, it's the best part of the job. The part that's most difficult is the politics.
It's the politics. I was going to say, so it's the politics.
It's the
right?
politics. That's the most internal stuff that goes on.
Elaborate on what the challenges are when you
just
talk about the politics.
Getting things done, and just having differences of opinion with people in the county and different things. And it's not that difficult, but that is the most difficult part of the job.
It is.
And
It
just
is.
getting be able to do things. And people love success.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing well, if things are going well, then things are a lot better for you.
Right.
When
right.
you have a little difficulty, then then the problems come. But people love winners. They love success.
Right.
So I just try to do as much as I can so we can be successful
Right,
and
right.
win. And that way, it makes things a little smoother along the way.
Well, it's good when you win together.
Yes,
That's the
it's
important
right.
part.
It's good
Yes.
because everybody is trying to serve. We're in public service work. And my
Public service.
family, my
Yes.
father was involved with youth, boys clubs and Boy Scouts. That's what he did for a living. He was involved with that. He ran the boys club. He was a sports broadcaster, and he was involved with a lot of that sports and public work. My mother worked for the Federal Reserve as a secretary and then worked for the city water department for many years. So everybody in my family has done public service work,
And you've got a daughter.
My daughter and I have a daughter and son that are both judges in
Right.
36th District Court.
How does that make you feel?
Oh man, I'm super proud, And then I went to visit them in the courtroom just to see what they do, and see if people see what that kind of work they do.
Right.
And I just, I was really, really proud to see they actually are taking care of the business.
Give their names. Give their names.
Aaliyah Sabri is my
Okay.
daughter, and my son Adam Sabri. I have another son, Yusuf, that works for Wayne County Community College in student services. He has a PhD, so he didn't want to get left out, so he's an educator like my wife. My wife's an educator,
Yeah.
retired educator, so he went that route, and the other two went into law.
Well, since we've mentioned all this breeze, give your wife a shout out too.
And Badria Sabri, she's retired from Detroit Public Schools and from the state of Michigan. She worked for the Department of Education there as a consultant, helping with the Department of Education. And so she's a real educator. She started off with a daycare center.
Oh, is that
She had
right?
the first 24-hour daycare center in the city of Detroit, and she started off with that. Then she went to public schools as a teacher and then administrator, and so she's a real educator and knows education.
It's so great to have all these firsts like this. So you say she was the first?
She had first 24-hour daycare
24-hour
center.
daycare center.
Yeah, she has around 6 Mile. Yeah.
I
Wow.
want to give a shout out to Miss Sabri too, because when I first met Treasurer Sabri and his beautiful wife, it was at a function in Ypsilanti. I was on the campaign trail, and he was there as one of the speakers, and I introduced myself to him and her, and then later on, she came over to my table and she said, "We gonna help you. We gonna get you. We gonna get you elected." and she called, and we set up an appointment, and I talked with him. He's been a great counsel. But I want to give a shout out to her. So hello, and guess what? Happy anniversary.
Yeah, how you know? Yeah, tomorrow's our 45th anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So I always have to buy like a dozen flowers for Valentine's Day,
And
a dozen flowers for anniversary day. So I'll do that every year. I go in flower. Even when I walk in the flower shop, they already know.
They know automatically. Anniversary and Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And don't deliver it. I deliver it myself.
Right.
Well, that probably means a whole lot more to her when they see, when she sees you coming in there with those 24 roses like that.
Yeah. So that's a blessing that somebody could put up with me for 45 years. So I said, that's just a mercy, man. I'm telling you.
Well, that's the thing, because like Hope was mentioning how long she had been married. And so Hope, I know you say you were just looking at, a dozen roses long stem roses that your husband gave you.
Yes.
But let me ask you, Hope. So looking at the challenges, because how large is your community, and how many townships or cities do you represent there in Cass County?
So our population is about 52,000, just under 52,000. 15 villages, 1 city, 4 villages. 15 townships, 1 city, 4 villages.
So looking at the challenges that you have compared to the challenges that both Eric and Letitia have, how do you kind of measure the challenges that you have, and do you ever go and look at Eric and Letitia to try and help you as far as saying resolving some of the issues that you may have?
Oh, yeah. Early on as a county treasurer, I was fortunate enough that Treasurer Sabri allowed me to tour his offices, and his foreclosure prevention programs are amazing. And we had a skeleton of a program here that I've been able to expand since I've been the county treasurer. And since my beginnings to now, we're more than 50% fewer foreclosures each year. So he was doing a lot of personal visits, putting door signs on if people weren't there. So we've implemented those same programs here. They work, and it's helped us to reduce property foreclosures and keep people in their homes.
Okay. And Letitia, I'll ask you then, how large is your, the kind that you represent, and what are some of the challenges that you see that you might have to go to either Hope or to Eric, and see about trying to help resolve?
So Washington County is about 374,000 residents, and it's 27 cities, townships, and villages combined there. We don't really have a foreclosure challenge because I guess like all treasurers across the state of Michigan, we prevent foreclosures. So we're doing the same, knocking on doors. We have, doing everything we possibly can to keep people in their homes, because we know that's the best affordable housing is the one that you currently live in.
Right.
Again, like Treasurer Sabri said, the challenge is really not the people; it's the politics that sometimes get in the way.
I understand.
So when
we got to take a quick break, so
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish this story, and then Eric, I'll ask you. So once we come back from the break, then we'll hear more from Letitia Sharp, Eric Sabri, and Hope Anderson. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Clean up on aisle 5. It sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind, and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help. Visit us at treasurer.waynecounty.com, and we'll help you keep your home. We're here to help.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Tune in to the I Love the Hustle show, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m., followed by Mr. Smooth's Ballroom and Steppers Express Dance Show on WHPR 15.2 Detroit, Apple TV, Roku, and many streaming platforms. See you Saturday.
The treasurer for Wayne County, and that is Eric Sabri, and also my co-host emeritus, and she is the county treasurer for the county of Washtenaw, and that is Letitia Sharp. And also on the phone, we are joined by Cass County Treasurer Hope Anderson. So I was just asking you, and you were kind of going into a little bit more detail, about what you do there and some of the services that you provide in Washtenaw County, Letitia.
Oh, I was just giving my great county of Washtenaw a shout out that, we have great residents, and part of the treasurer's job is, I was piggybacking on what Treasurer Sabri said, is really connecting with the people. And like I said, keeping people in their homes is the goal of every treasurer, should be the goal of every treasurer. And that's what we try to do, and then try to create and support and encourage programs that do just that. During the commercial, you see Mr. Sabri does an awesome job in Wayne County with getting the commercials out and a lot of community outreach. And our county is a lot smaller, so I feel like I'm the middle person. Yeah, Hope's county is a little smaller, and then mine is probably the next largest. And obviously, Mr. Sabri is his is larger than ours. But the community outreach portion is what I would like to do a little bit more in our community. But we are doing a fabulous job with our foreclosure prevention programs. So,
Okay.
And we have good support from our county executive and the commissioners in Wayne County, they support what I do. That means a lot, helping us get the resources we need to staff the office and things like that. Also, we get the communities, the mayors and supervisors throughout Wayne County. I give them a list of all the properties that are headed to foreclosure, that are pending foreclosure, and they get that spreadsheet. It has the name of the taxpayer, the address, the parcel ID number, how much money they owe, and what it's going to take to get them out of foreclosure. So they have that information. In some of these smaller communities, they know who these people are. They see them at the grocery store, they're their neighbors, so they can go and tell them, hey, you're about to lose your house. Go contact the treasurer. So this means that this helps us a lot. So I send the list out to them in February, which I just did this week, and they help us out by letting people know. Go down, and if you're a veteran, first responder, or healthcare worker, you can get into a payment agreement with no money down.
Oh, wow.
So that's good too, because some people say, I can't afford to get into a payment plan. I can't pay it all at once. Well, if you're a healthcare worker, first responder, or veteran, you don't need any money down. Just come in, sign up, start paying the next month. So those are things that we do. try to let people know, we appreciate what they do.
Well, and that's good to kind of repeat that again, because we want to make certain, because there's probably a lot of questions, and that's one of the things that I'm hoping that we can do is to educate the public about some of the, the programs that you have in your respective, counties, so that if you are, like you said, a veteran, first responder, or healthcare worker, that would entail them to be able to go and get on a payment plan without having to put any money
down.
Yeah,
that's big, because right now you have to put almost 50%. I think starting Monday it goes to 50%. It starts at 10, and each month it goes up. And we're at March 31st is our deadline, so we're getting close to the deadline. So the deposit is higher, the down payment is higher. So if you don't have to put any money down, that can help you a lot. And if you're a senior or have a household with school-age children, then we're always trying to give them a preference of how we help them, like make sure that they don't get foreclosed. Right. What we don't want to happen is what happened to those children that died because it was they froze to death in the van.
Yeah.
Those kind of things that just really makes me sick just to hear that. But we don't want that to happen.
And treasurers, that's one of the things that's so difficult, because a lot of times when people have the choice between one obstacle versus another obstacle, they tend to take one that might not be one that's applicable for everybody involved, because I don't know what her circumstances were that led to the homelessness with her having to go and care for those children in a van, especially during this time of the year when it's so frigidly cold out there.
But you know what, Mr. Griffin, it's sometimes the state of mind of people. You don't know what they're going through, and sometimes you can't think straight when you're going through a lot of problems. You're not thinking straight. Sometimes you have depression, mental illness, just the fact that you got children and you don't have any money and you don't have any place to live. You can't be in the best state of mind. So you got to think about that too.
And sometimes we have, like in our office, we have a social worker on our PA 123 team that helps us with our foreclosure prevention, because to Treasurer Sabri's point, it's not just about losing your home. It's usually the things that's attached to that. And it could be mental illness. It could be something that has absolutely nothing to do with property taxes. So it's important to be able to tap into other resources and know how to tap into those resources, so we can get those folks to be in a position to pay their taxes so that they won't lose their homes. And sometimes it's a whole variety of things. So it's more than just your property taxes. It's all of the social things that could be contributing to you being in this situation in the first place. And our seniors and our veterans and our low income residents are the most vulnerable, because they are in a space that losing their home or eating or just being in the right state of mind sometimes might be challenging, and we have to address all of those things.
Yeah, because I can imagine, I'm sure that probably when people have that choice between paying taxes versus putting food, on the table for their children, it's probably, when you have to make those kind of hard choices like that, but you want to make certain that the children are fed, first and foremost. Right. But so if somebody, do they come and can they declare, like you were saying, she wasn't a veteran nor a first responder or a home care worker or and that healthcare worker. So can a person come in, Treasurer Sabri, Sharp, or Anderson? Can they come in and declare some type of hardship or something like that? Or is that something that, maybe I'm looking at the wrong word when I say hardship.
Oh, that's
But
exactly.
Treasurer Anderson, let her speak to that too.
Okay, the floor, when Treasurer Sabri relinquishes the floor to you, Treasurer Anderson, we got to go and take your response to that at first.
I'd be happy to share on this topic. We do have a hardship policy here at the county, at Cass County, and so an individual in a situation could apply for a hardship at that show cause hearing. I also provide lots of other resources that address some of the things that you just shared: food insecurities, utilities assistance, There's all the possible scenarios that come with potential foreclosure for property taxes. It's usually not just a single issue. There's usually several issues. So we do provide resources for all those. And I was going to share earlier that there's a lot of reasons why someone might not pay their property taxes. Financial hardship is by far the biggest one, but there are other things like lack of awareness or understanding. I had a 95-year-old homeowner in one of our villages that hers was a mortgage escrow issue. She was paying her mortgage company, but they were failing to pay the taxes from an escrow account. So she was within 3 weeks of foreclosure. So we were able to withhold it from foreclosure and reached out to her mortgage company, and they paid 3 years of property taxes. They didn't care if she was homeless, but we did care.
Right.
So, that's one of another reasons why someone may not pay their property taxes. There might be other life circumstances, an illness, a disability, a death of the property owner. We find that a lot, right, where the homeowner passed away and the family hasn't probated the property. No one's paying the property taxes. I think Washtenaw has a great program for title issues for homes that I've been interested in getting involved in, because there's so many properties where the homeowner passed away, and that's why. And you've got 5 potential heirs, but no one's paying the property taxes. So helping them navigate that, so that eventually someone will. In some cases we end up having to foreclose because none of the property owners want to pay it. But most of the time we can help them navigate that system and get that property in the right hands.
Yeah, we're trying to copy Washtenaws program too. They have a great program for probate, and you might want to talk about that, because we're doing a lot for probate too. But Washtenaw County has really a comprehensive program that was developed, and I'll let Treasurer Sharp kind of talk about that. Yes.
So our probate, housing court started in 2022 by the former treasurer Catherine McCleary, and it only handles foreclosure type cases. I think the program that Treasurer Anderson spoke of was our Home for Generations program, and that program helps to get the titles right in the right name of the owners, because most of the time grandma owned the house, she passed away, and maybe mom and then mom's children stayed there, and it just stays into the house, and they end up being in the house but are not rightful owners of the house. So we try to get the titles in their names, and then once we're able to do that, then we can address whatever tax issues the house may be tied to. So I am very proud of the probate court. It is one that was started and is mirrored throughout the county, and I would like to see a whole lot of counties do that, especially the ones that have a lot of the issues that we have. So then we have we have attorneys that are assigned to these families to help them deal with those legal challenges, to be able to get the titles in their names, and they do that at a pro bono state. And so we have that, and that's been working wonderfully. And we're able to, in Washtenaw County, we've been able to return about $3.4 million in property wealth back to the county, because we were able to get the right people connected to the titles and remain in their homes and so forth.
Well, so now kind of walk the viewing audience through. So if somebody has not paid their taxes, what then is next coming from the treasurer's office, and then it goes to foreclosure or goes to probate, or what are the steps that really happen when somebody when delinquent on their taxes?
Okay, well, first of all, the current taxes are collected by the local communities.
Okay.
So this go to 2024. You get a July bill for the summer taxes and a December bill for the winter taxes. It's 2024. Okay, now here we are in February 2025. If those taxes haven't been paid, on March 1st, those communities turn over the delinquencies to the county treasurer. That's the first year delinquency coming up. So now you'll see a 2024 bill will be attached to the taxpayer from the county. Now, 3 years, in 2027, let's see, 2020, 27, that 2024 tax bill going to foreclosure. 'Cause right now, we're foreclosing on 2022 taxes. This is 2025, so 3 years back. And we get the first year is delinquent, the second year is called forfeiture, which lien is placed on the property, and people are charged forfeiture fees and higher interest. And then the third year, it's going to foreclosure. So right now, people who have 2022 taxes unpaid or not in a payment agreement with us, they're going to get foreclosed on March 31st. So that's why this is the busiest time of year for us.
Right.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
knocking on doors and calling and
Oh,
doing
yeah.
it.
This is it because we have every year we go through this. People come to us 2 days after the deadline in a rush, in a panic. Say, I want to save my property, and we've been calling you for 3 years. We've been contacting you for
go.
3 years. What happened? So don't do that. Don't wait till the last minute because we have state law that we have to go by.
Right.
That's
And we can't
throughout
make-
this process. At this point, we've made extensive efforts to notify those taxpayers. 8 tax bills by first-class mail, additional statements by registered mail, published the list in the local newspaper, conducting personal visits and inspections, holding administrative hearings. So those are the statutory statutory notices. But then we go above and beyond and do those personal visits and personal phone calls. So there is an extensive effort to notify and assist these taxpayers at this point when we're a couple months before foreclosure.
That's right.
So Hope, then, so once then it gets to, now just as Treasurer Sabri was saying about you get to lien on your property, and then when it goes to probate, what happens in probate court?
Well, that we really have nothing to do with that at all. I mean, at this point, I just had my judicial foreclosure hearing. So we've got these hundreds of property that could potentially foreclose if they don't redeem them before March 31st. But most of them will. So that's why between now and then, we're trying to get as many people to, get in a payment agreement, get an extension, or get the property taxes paid, or find some resource in the community that will help them get caught up before closure. Before they've got to pay at least the 2022 property taxes to prevent foreclosure. They could still have delinquent 2023 and delinquent 2024, but at least pay that 2022s to prevent foreclosure.
In probate, if someone files a probate petition, then we can remove that property. We remove that property from foreclosure
That's
while
right.
it's in probate, while it's going through probate, as long as they file. So that's why we refer people to these nonprofit attorneys. We have Lakeshore Legal, Michigan Legal Services, United Community Housing Coalition that we use. They're free. They can help people go through a probate
Say those
process.
again.
Okay, Michigan Legal Services, United Community Housing Coalition, and Lakeshore Legal. And all that information is available on our website too.
And share your website. Go ahead.
Treasurer.waynecounty.com. That's treasurer.waynecounty.com. So they can go to those institutions, those nonprofits, and get some help to go through the probate process. Once they file a probate petition before the deadline, then we can remove the property from foreclosure while it's going
That's
through
right.
probate. So that's important to let
Yes,
people
it
know
is
that because
important.
a lot of times we find out after the fact, that I wanted to go to probate, but you didn't do anything. You didn't file. You just thought about it.
Right.
You have to do something about it so we can remove the property from while it's going through probate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this time of the year, I'm looking at obituaries, digging through, trying to find the heirs and contact them, and to help them navigate that and get probate files for their.
That's the advantage of a small county.
That's right.
And when you were saying that, Hope, I was looking at Eric and Letitia, and I was like, okay, do they do the same thing, or do they have staff to do the same thing?
Now,
That's a fortunate part of having a smaller county.
Yeah.
I have asked in one case. I did ask my staff did we look at obituaries? Can we go there? Because we want to make every possible attempt we can. So the larger your county, it's impossible. But when there's that one property that you're trying to say, okay, we need to look for this or try to help, I have asked staff to can you look for this just take that extra step, and they've done that. I just want to add, just to give you an example of like the type of parcels and the numbers that we're talking. This is in Wayne County. So we had 5,116 parcels that was turned over in delinquent taxes. This is in 2023. Out of that, 1,685 recorded as forfeiture on March 1st, 2024. And then we work to do hardship applications. So that's what Treasurer Anderson spoke of. So we took 235 of those we withheld for hardship reasons, various reasons. We work directly with them. We have meetings every week to talk about each property in detail. And then out of that, 30 of those are really on track for the hearing, and could be possibly foreclosed if we don't have answers by the March 1st deadline. So we went from that 5,000 all the way down to 30 that's really in jeopardy in Washtenaw County of actually being foreclosed on.
Now, how do the city treasurers work with the county treasurers?
Well, all the treasurers in the townships, and I'll let you add on to this, all the treasurers in the local municipalities, they have to work with the county treasurers because they're turning the taxes over to the county treasurer. So they're working very closely with the county treasurer. Usually the deputies and the financial management, the financial manager works directly with the local treasurers. But I work with mine all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turn over money to us. We have the monthly settlements we do with. So what we do is collect the money from the locals, and then we distribute it to the different taxing jurisdictions, like the libraries, the schools, all the parks, all those things. The money gets distributed by the county treasurer.
That's what I was going to. Great. That's what I was going to ask next. Then, so when you do collect the money, how is that distributed in your respective counties?
Is when you get your tax bill, it shows what you're being taxed for.
Okay.
You'll see up there, say parks, jails, libraries, community college, at schools. So all the money gets distributed to those entities, and that's how it does. And Hope, you can add something too, I'm sure.
Well, the local treasurers, they'll disperse their local, but county-wide taxes, they disperse to us, and then we send checks every 2 weeks so that they can meet their budgets. And then that's one of the statutory functions of our office. Every tax that's returned delinquent, we pay it out. We make sure that everyone meets their budgets, the schools, the library, 911, and then that's why we statutorily have to collect those taxes over the next 2 years, trying to recoup what we've paid out to help everyone keep their budgets.
So is that something then that so for the municipalities, like you were saying about the schools, the parks, recreation, things like that, is there something that the money is disseminated to that a lot of our residents don't really know that it is actually disseminated to them as well?
Well, there's usually like I said, when you get your tax bill, it tells you
right
what the taxes are for.
But is that the only thing?
No, because what happens is the city gets a certain amount of money, like for instance, street lights, garbage pickup. It doesn't tell you how much go to the police, how much go to the fire, how much go to the garbage.
Yeah, like to do the snow removal.
They don't. That's not itemized. That's not on your tax bill, but that goes to the city.
Okay.
The city collects. So.
And then don't forget about county millages.
County millages.
When you have when we vote have millages on the ballot. So those millages, if they pass, they become now, you have to pay for those. So that's part of the taxes that we pay.
Explain to the few people that might not know what a millage is. Explain what that is, because I know some people, they see that on on a ballot, and they're like, do you want to vote yes or no, for this millage of whatever amount of money it is. Explain, what is a millage?
The millage comes from the Board of Commissioners. So they decide on if, and you can chime in any time. But so the millages is a decision that happens at the Board of Commissioners. And then so it's placed on the ballot, and the voters decide if they want it or they don't. And if they vote yes, then it's taxed however it's presented to the board or in the millage, and then it becomes the responsibility of the treasurer to make sure that tax gets disseminated correctly.
Yeah.
But we have nothing to do with whether the millage is on the ballot, whether it passes or doesn't.
Just like some cities, they say, we want to build a new stadium. So they put it in the millage, say, are you going to willing to pay? It's going to cost you $25 a year or $25 per $1,000 value of your property. Or, they'll put that on as a millage. So you know how much it's going to cost you per year for this millage. So you vote yes, and your taxes go up because you're paying for this new stadium. You're helping to pay for a new stadium. So Hope, anything else that you want to add? Because I'm leaving some things out, I'm sure.
Well, the only thing I'm glad you pointed out that we don't determine taxes. We collect delinquent taxes.
Right.
Because a lot of people, by the time they get to us and they're delinquent, they kind of think that we've created these taxes, but we haven't.
That's true.
We're just here to collect the delinquent taxes that
That's what we tell people. We say if you pay on time, you don't have anything to do with us.
Right.
You
And
don't
that
need
makes
to
a big
talk
difference
to
right
me.
there.
Right.
We got to take a quick break. We got to take a break. So we're with Eric Sabree, Letitia Sharp, Hope Anderson. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, Hope.
Reverend Jim Holly's International Ministries introduces 2 new publications. The Spirit Speaks, 365 Days in Quotation of Affirmation, and A Saved City is a Safe City. Resources and Bible classes around the country. Purchase your book today for $14.95 or receive both for only $27.95. Call or write now while supplies last. Reverend Jim Holly, 258 East Milwaukee Street, Box 27, Detroit, Michigan, 48202 or 313-871-2800.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind, and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabree, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help. Visit us at treasurer.waynecounty.com, and we'll help you keep your home. We're here to help.
WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
And welcome back. You are watching Truth to Power, and I've got a very, very great lineup of guests here on the show with me today. Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree, Washtenaw County Treasurer Letitia Sharp, and Cass County Treasurer Hope Anderson. Hope, we want to, during the break, we were talking about a lot of the things that treasurers do, the county treasurers do. But I know you were elaborating a little bit more about some of the additional things that you do in your office. And then, Eric, Letitia, I'll let you elaborate more on your respective communities. But Hope, tell more about what you do in the county treasurer's office there in Cass County.
Sure. I recognize that most of the public knows us as the delinquent property tax collectors, but we are a bigger part of our job actually is the custodian of all the funds of the county. The financial management and security of those funds is a big part of our job. Monthly bank reconciliation, ensuring that the county funds are properly accounted for and reconciled. Investment of county funds, managing the county investments. Of course, maximizing the focus on security and returns. I recently implemented check and ACH positive pay to ensure that fraud, to prevent fraud in our county, and protect the taxpayers' money. So actually, that receiving all the monies of the county, making sure that those funds are in the correct restricted funds that they're supposed to be, and the safekeeping of those funds in the bank is actually a bigger part of our job, I think, than the delinquent property tax collection.
Yep.
Now, when you mentioned about fraud, tell in terms of if somebody calls your home, what are some of the ways that people may try and defraud the taxpayers in terms of, say, like calling your home, trying to say that you owe taxes, or trying to give you an opportunity to go and pay through? Debunk some of those different ways that people may do, so that if somebody calls your home and says something about you owe property taxes or you're delinquent in taxes, to where they'll know this is not a person calling from your offices. Hope.
We have had that happen in Cass County. I've done press releases and showed examples of those fraudulent letters that our homeowners have received that show that they owe money to Cass County, and it was fraud. I don't know of any that actually paid those. Fortunately, they knew to at least call my office first and verify, because they didn't think they owed. But if ever there's a question, you don't think you owe it, call the office or come in and visit us. We'll debunk that right away.
And give your website, give your contact information in Cass County.
For Cass County, it's www.casscountymi.org. casscountymi.org.
And you're located in what's the city that you're located in?
We are right here in Cassopolis.
In Cassopolis.
Yep.
With my brother from another mother, Jim Peterson.
That's right. Jim Peterson, the home of Dennis Archer, who Treasurer Sabree brought up earlier.
Yes.
Your former mayor, Dennis Archer, was born here in Cass County. He served as your mayor from, 1994 to 2001?
Well, now, Eric, Letitia, are there any terms, say, additional things that Hope didn't mention that you do in your respective offices?
I'm just going to add to her list. We do deed certifications. We do dog and kennel licensing. And then in terms of the fraud, the types of frauds that happen too is the cash. Some folks, we have some bad actors with fake funds that may come through the county or attempt to try to come through the county. Yeah. So we do things like making sure that we have a detailed look at the type of bills that come through, and then we make sure that we notify the county as soon as possible if something happens that we see some fraudulent bills that come through. And then in terms of folks just being bad actors with trying to identify or disguise themselves as a treasurer or someone that's collecting the information, we tell people all the time, we will not ask you for personal information or payments over the phone where we're asking you for your credit card information and things like that. We have secured ways to be able to pay over, online. But you just have to be careful. And like Hope said, if you have any questions about your county treasurer, especially when you're making payments, I'll say two things. Make sure you're making payment to the correct parcel. That's another thing. It could be a mistake, but that's a huge mistake on your part because you could be paying somebody else's parcel and not know it for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so we've had that. But if you have any questions about your payment, especially in Washtenaw County, I would say, contact the county treasurer's office. We're located at 200 North Main in downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan. And my website is www.washtenaw.treasure.org. I'm sorry.
Okay. Eric.
Yes, one of the things we tell people is don't give money to anyone unless you're giving it to a cashier in the office, no matter what. The treasurer's office is not going to come to your house and ask you to pay taxes. You can pay online. You can pay through a kiosk that we have. We have like 70 kiosks throughout the county in different grocery stores and community centers. You can come in and make an appointment and pay in the office. We can write a check, send it the old-fashioned way. You can do that. So don't give money to anyone. I don't care who it is.
Right.
If they're not the cashier behind the glass, don't give it to them. Don't give them any money. Also, one of the things we do we make payments. We pay bills. So as Hope mentioned, we are custodians of the funds. We invest the money, and make as much money as we can. But most importantly, we make sure it's safe and that it's available when people need it. And then, of course, we hope to get the best yield as possible.
Right.
But we make payments. We pay all the jury duty. We issue jury duty checks. If you go to jury duty, the checks get issued by our office. Payroll is a big deal. That's one of the big things we do. Make sure that people don't get paid. They can look at us.
Right.
Where's my money? So we have to make sure that the payroll. We work with our management and budget department. Make sure that all the money is available for payroll, and all of our vendors that work for the county do work for the county. Make sure the checks go out. But as Hope said, we're eliminating checks as much as possible, and we're doing the ACH. Automatic, electronic payments, so people can get their money to their account. Less fraud, because people are stealing checks out of the mail.
Right.
So we're trying to cut back on checks, and so that's a big part of what we do too. Making payments, making sure that the money goes out, people get the money on time.
I just want to add something earlier that Treasurer Sabri said. It is really important to have good government around you. So when you can work really well with your Board of Commissioners and your county administrators and your department heads and your local units of government and all those entities, that makes a great stage for being to be able to do the work that we do. So in Washtenaw County, I'm blessed to again have that type of support at those levels, because oftentimes, when people come to see us, they're either coming for when the public comes, it's because they're in trouble with their taxes or they have questions about their taxes. But when those local units of government or even your Board of Commissioners or administrators, you're working alongside of them to make sure that you kind of ease in their tension, because like Treasurer Sabri said, we are the custodians of the money, but they make the decisions on how that money is spent. So we have to work together.
That's right. Yeah, we don't get to decide how to spend the money.
Right.
So Hope, then when a person's property is foreclosed on, and then what happens to that property in terms of, say, once it gets foreclosed, what happens to that property then? And the person may be, lost their home due to foreclosure. What happens to that property?
Well, there's been significant changes in the Michigan Property Tax Act over the last few years. It's a big difference from when I came in office in 2018 till now. But because of the recent changes, now homeowners are able to claim excess proceeds. That means that if your property is foreclosed, you can claim excess proceeds from the property tax sale. So if we go to tax sale and it sells and there's an excess proceeds beyond the taxes, fees, and interest, and there's excess proceeds of $100,000, you can, the owners or those who have interest in the property can claim the proceeds. That's part of the Property Tax Act. It's spelled out, I'm sure, on all of our websites. The forms are available on all of our websites. It's very easy for former owners to claim proceeds in the tax sales, but they can always call our office to get, specific information. But I'm sure all of our websites have that spelled out as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, because now, how long has that been in existence?
Since 2022?
20, I think we started
21?
21.
21, yeah.
But they can go on your websites and see more information about that.
Yeah.
That they can do that. Was that a major bill that was passed? Because I'm sure that there's probably a lot of people that were wondering what happens to their property, and then if they sell the property back and they get a profit of $100,000 or whatever, that goes then back to the Treasury Department, or
it was a big lawsuit in
Okay.
Michigan. A Raffaelli case. It was called Raffaelli, and there was a lawsuit from Hennepin County, Minnesota, that went to the Supreme Court of the United States as well. So it was two things going on. The state Supreme Court ruled that the taking of the money, the keeping of the excess proceeds, was unconstitutional. That we had to, as Hope described, we have to offer this to those people who lost their properties, but they have to file a claim. And this is the current claims. Then the Supreme Court in Michigan went beyond that and said we have to go retroactively back 6 years from 2020, since 15 through 20. Anyone who lost their property that can also file a claim for the proceeds. But that's a whole different claims process, because it ends March 31st of this year for the retroactive. But for current ones, those people who lose their property this year in foreclosure they have to file a claim by July, and then start the process of if we sell it. If it sells. If it doesn't sell, then there's no proceeds.
Right.
But if we sell it more above and beyond the taxes, interest fees, and the 5% that the state allows us to keep for selling it, then that money is available to the claimants.
So anything over that 5%.
Well, it's taxes, interest, fees, and it's a 5% like
And
a
the
commission
5%,
that we
right,
get.
okay.
I hate to call it a commission, but that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
a 5% of the sale,
Cost
administrative
recovery.
fee for us being basically selling. It just like we become like the seller, the broker for the people who lost it.
Right.
And so
And let's
we
be
get
clear, most properties don't sell for a significant excess proceeds. Many of them sell for less.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Right, but we still have to do our work in making sure that all of those people are notified and they have an opportunity to file and make sure they have that information. So in Washington County, we sent that information out to anyone who could have possibly have interest in that. We got a lot of return to sender responses, because either the folks have moved or they've moved on. And I think we only have one legitimate claim and I don't know if there's proceeds or not, but we only have one
That's
claim.
for your retroactive claims? Wow, we have like for about 440 right now.
We only have one.
Well, good for you.
In Cass County,
But
we're part of a class action settlement in the Western District.
Oh,
so
right.
we, all those claims prior to 2021 are part of a class action that's being appealed right now. But when it's over, we'll be able to pay out all those folks that had excess proceeds from sales from 2014 through 2020.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So now, if a person, let's say, for example, if somebody is called into like military duty, or a person maybe incarcerated, for a period of time, are they then still responsible for paying taxes?
Yes, they are. But if we know about them, we'll help them. We'll help them. That's our process. We'll help them if we know about the situation. We'll do whatever we can to help them. But they are responsible. And if we don't know about it, they'll lose their property if they don't pay the taxes.
So then that encumbrance would then go on to their wife or whoever else is in the property to pay those taxes if they're incarcerated or something like that, or if they're called into military duty.
Well, the taxes go with the property. So whoever's
the name.
responsible of the property, they're responsible for the taxes. So it could be sometimes, as we say, people are pass away, as attorney. As the treasurer Sharp mentioned, they'll pass away, and their relatives will stay in the house for years.
Right.
But they'll pay the taxes. They just keep paying the taxes. So until they run into trouble, it's not really an issue.
Right.
But when they run into trouble and they can't pay, then it becomes an issue because they're not the true owners, and then maybe they can't take advantage of all the benefits, all the programs that can, the interest reduction, payment agreements, or
Homestead.
all the homestead, all the things that owner occupants can take advantage of. They can't because they're not really an owner. But a lot of times we never know about it because they just pay the taxes for all these years. And so
And that's why it's kind of important, too, to know what your county treasurers do. Actually, all of the offices, but the county treasurer office does, because we're not just the folks who sit and wait for your taxes to go delinquent. And if you know you're in trouble, reach out to your county treasurer and see what what they could do to help, how they connect you. And you will find that there are a lot more resources and a lot more treasurers that want to help you stay in your property, and not the folks that have the name of any tax collector. The name alone, tax collector, is scary, right? So reach out to your county treasurer if you find yourself in trouble, and just see what resources are out there. And I would say that for across the state of Michigan, find out who your county treasurer is and reach out to them and see how they can help you if you run into any kind of trouble.
So I know that we have had a variety of people to call in and they to ask questions, but I know a question that somebody wanted me to ask the three of you is that when people talk about acquiring some property where the taxes had not been paid, the previous taxes hadn't been paid, that's something, is there a way that they can, if they're about to buy some property, that they can find out whether or not if there is any tax that hadn't been paid, that they, now here they done went and they done bought the house, but now they find out that the house had a bunch of taxes that had been unpaid for all these. Can they find this out before they buy the house?
Certainly they can. They can go on our website and look up the taxes, or they can do a title search. They go to a title company or get a professional, real estate professional or attorney to help them with their purchase. A lot of times we have people who buy by quick claim deed, which means you don't use a title company. You just take what the person has, and they don't know there's a water bill, big tax bill attached to it. They're inexperienced maybe in buying property, and so they don't know. So a lot of times they'll buy these properties from people who know they're about to get foreclosed. They'll sell the property to an unsuspecting person, an inexperienced person, and then they'll look up and find out, oh, I'm about to get foreclosed in a month from now. I just put a roof on the house. I just bought it. I have a $10,000 water bill. What do I do? Well, those are the kind of people we try to help. We help them too, because we know they don't know what they were doing, and that they would never have bought the house, put a roof on the house, if they knew they were about to lose it a month from now.
Right.
So we do that. What do you think, Hope? Has that happened to you at all?
Oh yeah, therein lies the protection of using a title company and getting a warranty deed, because that deed's going to come to our offices and we're going to reject it because it has delinquent property taxes. Those have to be paid before we can certify that deed. So there's some protection there for homeowners to go that route if they can.
And you said it's called a warranty deed, Hope?
Yes.
Okay.
But if they quit claim deed it, they don't have to know, but they still should know. They still should contact the county treasurer and see if there's delinquent taxes or potentially other liens.
And then on all of our websites, you can go in and search titles too. You can go in and search property taxes, so you can check to see if your neighbors pay their taxes. You just need an address to go online and just see. So if you're, again, this is another thing. If you're interested in buying property, do a little homework and go into the treasurer's website and look up that property and see if there's anything on that property that's still attached there. And if you don't understand what it is, then contact that office and say, hey, what does this mean? Because you can get a lot of information that way as well.
Okay. Is there anything that probably misconceptions that people have about county treasurers that you'd like to dispel to our audience? And I'll ask either of you to kind of respond to that question.
Well, I would say just the people may think that we really want their property. we don't want their property. That's for
You just
sure.
want to collect delinquent property taxes.
Exactly. We just want to collect the taxes, help them stay in their home. It's a lot less expensive for someone to stay in their home than it is for them to be homeless. And that's expensive. I'm talking about the people and for the government.
Right.
Exactly.
And sometimes folks are confused. They'll come to my office and want to pay someone else's property taxes, and they think that means they'll own it.
Right.
That's true.
That is not true.
And that's what that was my question that I was alluding to before. So a person can't go in and pay the taxes for property and then claim ownership of that property just because they paid the back taxes on that property.
Yeah, you just gave a gift to someone.
Right. And that's what I said earlier. We had an
Send you a
incident.
thank you card.
Thank you, Carl.
Right. That's why I said earlier that if you go in and you pay your property taxes, make sure you use the slip that comes with the tax, or that you have the appropriate parcel number that you're paying, because you could accidentally, and this has happened, pay like your neighbor's property tax, and then you find out, how did I get into foreclosure? I paid my taxes, and what you did in like Hope says, you just made a donation. But we can work with you, but we still need to. You're still responsible for the taxes for that property. If the mistake, especially on your end, where you just accidentally paid someone else's taxes.
Here's a couple other things that people do. One, sometimes they'll pay current taxes instead of paying delinquent taxes. They'll make the mistake. Like, you still owe the current tax. Like right now, you can still pay 2024 current taxes. It's February, it's late, you're late, but you still can pay it. So they'll pay the current taxes, but they won't pay the delinquent taxes. They're about to lose their house. They won't pay the 2022, they'll go pay 2024. So if you do that, the city's not going to give you your money back. And they're not going to say, oh, you should have paid your county tax, here's the money back. They say, no, you owe us some money, we're going to keep it. So then what we have to do sometimes, if we find this out, we'll work with them, get a payment plan, let them, keep the property out of foreclosure, because we know there's no way in the world would they have paid the 24 taxes
When they knew
if
they
they're
had to.
about to lose their house.
Right.
So we work with them. That happens a lot. So the other thing that happens is there are tenants who are living in places where the landlord hasn't paid the taxes. And sometimes they can't find the landlord, or the landlord just like disappears or whatever. They haven't been paying any rent, but what they do, they'll just pay the taxes to stay there, to keep the house from going into foreclosure. But I tell them, if you pay the tax, you can't get the house. It's not going to be your house. I don't care how many years you pay the taxes. Only thing you're doing is keeping it out of foreclosure. But if the landlord could come anytime and say, hey, thank you very much for paying my taxes, just as long as you know that. And that's what Treasurer Sharp and Anderson just mentioned. It's a thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and I think that's something that some people think, then, as you were saying, Eric, is that they could go and they could keep the taxes updated and pay them, and think that disavows them from having to pay rent in some cases, because like you said, that property owner can still come in and still assess whatever back rent that they still owed, even though they paid the taxes on the property, to still keep the place from being foreclosed on.
So when you're doing that, you're helping the owner of the house.
Right.
And so you probably still have a place to stay, but like Treasurer Sabri said, you don't have any rights to the ownership of that property.
You take a risk.
You take a risk.
Yeah.
Well, and Hope, I just want to ask you, so now, in Detroit, we have a lot of vacant properties. And so now, is that something that you have? So if there's a property that, let's say, somebody sees there in Cass County, and it could just be a parcel of land, then what do they have to do to acquire that? And then, so it's the same thing with the parcel of land, that they have to find out about taxes on that, just as they would for a dwelling or a building that could be on that parcel of land. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It could be privately owned, or the land bank could own it, or a public or private entity could own it. But either way, they can check to see if there's any delinquent property taxes on it before they would purchase it.
Now, you mentioned the term land bank. That's a term that a lot of people, when they say that, they kind of, I'm hearing a little bit of pros and cons about the land bank. But Hope, can you kind of elaborate, and then I'll ask Eric and Letitia to kind of elaborate. We've got a couple of minutes left before we take this last break. But can you elaborate a little bit more about what it is, the land bank there in Cass County?
Sure, because land banks look different in every single county. Here in Cass County, our land bank was traditionally just did when a property wouldn't sell in that second tax sale, maybe it was too small to build or had other barriers to development. The land bank would get it, and then the land bank would try to figure out how to get it back on the tax roll. A lot of times that meant selling it to a neighboring parcel owner and getting it combined there. But the land banks have a lot more tools in their toolkit than just that. And maybe when we come back, I could share a little bit about what we've done here in Cass County, because I am the chairman of the Cass County Land Bank, so we've been able to take advantage of some great opportunities over the last couple of years.
Okay. I'll let you, Letitia.
Well, Washtenaw County, we do not have a land banks in Washtenaw County. So I know that's a discussion that has come up in the past, but the former treasurer did not have a land bank, and I've only been in the role for 2 months. So as of we don't have a land bank in Washtenaw County.
Okay. Well, I know, Eric, there's a land bank in Wayne County.
Well, there's two land banks in Wayne County. There's a Detroit land bank.
Okay.
And there's a Wayne County land bank. Wayne County land bank takes properties that don't sell in the auction outside of the city of Detroit. All the 42 communities other than Detroit. Detroit land bank is a separate entity, takes all properties that didn't sell within the city limits. So Detroit land bank owns approximately 20% of the entire city, of the land mass of Detroit. They own quite a bit of property. So that's why you hear so much, people get a little disgusted, disgruntled, because it's a lot of bureaucracy. But they're starting to sell more and more properties.
Okay.
They are doing better, but they own a lot of the city, because over the years of all those foreclosures, they accumulated so much property, and it's taken them a lot of time to catch up. The Wayne County Land Bank is doing some great things.
Well, I'm going to let you kind of elaborate on that. We got to take a break.
Okay, all right.
I want you to elaborate more on that so that we can kind of, give people an opportunity to understand more about what the land bank is, so that if there's a lot of people that may, have some questions about the land bank,
okay,
definitely can go into more detail about that. You're watching Truth to Power, and we'll be right back.
On aisle 5. It sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind, and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help. Visit us at treasurer.waynecounty.com, and we'll help you keep your home. We're here to help.
Hey, I know you've seen them. Those sleek vapes that everyone says is better than smoking. Here's the truth. They're not. Did you know that in Michigan, 14% of high school students use e-cigarettes? That's a lot of people risking their life for a quick buzz.
Nicotine doesn't just harm your body, it affects your mind too. It can make depression and anxiety worse, and even change how your brain handles stress. You deserve better than to let a tiny device control your mood and your future.
You know, I thought vaping was no big deal until its starting affected my mood and focus.
Yeah, and did you know that kids who vape are more likely to smoke cigarettes?
But there's good news. You don't have to do this alone. Whether it's through friends, family, or a support group, there's always a way out.
Your health, your future, you're worth so much more than what vaping has to offer.
Detroit's got your back. Visit CUYFDcoalition.org for tools and support to help.
Every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 3 p.m., it's the Tavis Smiley Show on WHPR TV and radio 15.2. Also seen on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, iPhone, and Android. That's the Tavis Smiley Show on WHPR TV and radio. Download the WHPR TV app for iOS, Android, and Roku. The Tavis Smiley Show, distributed by RJ Watkins Studios.
All media platforms are engaged. Copy.
Get ready to launch your show or product.
Periscope ready. We're 5x5 ready to launch. Copy that.
Trend worldwide across all major platforms.
Ignition. 3, 2, 1.
The world is waiting. Watkins Broadcasting. More than just TV.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Watkins Broadcasting is going worldwide. Now you can watch Detroit's own WHPR on your TV from anywhere in the world. No matter where you are, you can stay in the know with WHPR TV and Roku. You can get your easy-to-install Roku box from wherever you shop for your entertainment gear. Once your Roku box is connected to your TV and internet, go to the channel store on the home menu of the Roku box. Enter WHPR TV in the search engine and add it to your channels. That's it. That's all you need to get the best in entertainment, news, and talk, no matter where you are. Roku brings all of your favorites to your TV. Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, HBO Go, and now WHPR TV, Detroit Live.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help. Visit us at treasurer.waynecounty.com and we'll help you keep your home. We're here to help.
All righty. We have been having some engaging conversations during the break, but I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and you are watching Truth to Power with my special guest today, and this is our last 20 minutes of this segment, and I am joined in the studio by Letitia Sharp, who is the treasurer for Washtenaw County, and also by Treasurer Eric Sabri, who is over the Wayne County Treasury Department. And also we have on the line, we have Hope Anderson, who is the treasurer for Cass County. But Eric, before we went on break, I know you were kind of elaborating, about the land bank. And I know there's a lot of people that may have a lot of comments about the land bank. And now you say there's 2 land banks. There's a Detroit and a Wayne County.
Detroit Land Bank and the Wayne County Land Bank. Detroit Land Bank is much larger than Wayne County because 90% of the foreclosures in Wayne County are in Detroit. So they've accumulated properties for many, many years over the years. So that's why they have such a large inventory. But Wayne County Land Bank is basically we're doing basic things. I want to hear what Hope has to say in a minute because we're doing some very basic things. Just selling adjacent parcels to people, like vacant lots next to someone's house. We're selling those. We're also doing, the land bank is doing it. We did a program in Highland Park we did like step repairs, porch repairs.
Right, I remember seeing that.
Doing that.
I saw that, right.
And the land bank got a grant and did demolition and still doing demolition right now in Highland Park and in some of the other cities, Melvindale, a few other cities throughout the county. So we're doing some demolition of properties that we have that can't be saved, and we're selling vacant properties. And the land bank the next phase of the land bank is really to go into economic development, do more of that. And I think that Hope is going to talk a little bit more about that, some of the things that the land bank's doing. So I'll let her.
Okay, Hope, he has relinquished the floor to you again.
Sure. Well, as we've shared, Cass County is a small rural community, and unlike large counties, we don't have a dedicated housing agency to manage housing-related programs. So our land bank recognized the need for housing assistance, so our land bank has filled that gap. So, again, I know every community land bank does things differently. We only have 5 parcels in our inventory, but we've been able to be a subrecipient of the Mishta My Hope grant. We've got $975,000 brought into our county to help homeowners with new roofs, windows, doors, furnaces. It's been a great program. We've done 43 houses so far, but this is run right out of my office. So this is the treasurer's office staff becoming the land bank staff and feeling a need in our county. We've also been the recipient of blight elimination funds, rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have demolished properties, vacant, unsafe buildings, so that in one in the city of Dowagiac, where a developer is now building 6 new homes there. So it was a way for our land bank to partner with the city, who then partnered with a developer to demolish an unsafe structure that's been vacant for dozens of years and then redevelop it. So like Treasurer Sabri said, we're playing a big role in the economic development of our county, as well as directly helping homeowners. We have a great testimonial video on YouTube that I think I did share with you that shows firsthand the homeowners we've been able to help. But that's because we don't have a housing agency in our county. So we were just able to fill a need, being a smaller county. Our land bank has been able to fill that need.
Okay. And so now basically, Hope, then, so with you there, I know when I was talking to Jim Peterson, he was telling me about how proud he is of the work that you're doing, especially with your foreclosure rate. You're to be commended in terms of, say, with your foreclosure rate that you have there in Cass County. I'll let you kind of expound a little bit more about how did you do it, how do you feel by having that, and what are you doing to maintain that low foreclosure rate?
Well, I mean, we all value home ownership. I know I do. I grew up, my mother single mom rented all her life and bought her first home when she was 60 years old. I would hate to see her lose it because of $1,000 worth of delinquent property taxes. So, being able to work with someone that has a hardship situation it's how we serve. It's how we have the ability to work with folks. We do it, and I know all the treasurers at this table do it. Treasurers around our state do it. We're not in the business of foreclosing homes. We just want to collect property taxes. That's what we have to do. And I've got a great team that helps people. A lot of times people will move and they don't update their address, so they don't get their tax bills. That's another issue. Sometimes, I got a smaller office, and we figure out where folks are sometimes and get their tax notices to them so that they can pay them before foreclosure. So there's lots of tools we have in our toolkit to reduce foreclosures in our counties. But I am proud. I'm proud of my staff. we all have that same focus. Keep that number low, reduce it as much as possible. I know Jim Peterson, he's in the Village of Cass, which is our county seat, and he traditionally the Village of Cass had a pretty high foreclosure rate. I think we had 0 in the village last year.
Wow.
So he was proud of that. I know he was, and I am too.
Well, we've got probably about 15 minutes left in this segment. So I'll ask you, Hope, is there anything else that you'd like to disseminate out to our viewing audience before we get ready to wrap up this segment?
No, I think we've done this has been fun. It's been fun for me. I hope the viewers and listeners enjoyed it as much as we do. We're always available. We're public servants. We're always available to answer questions. We've got great staff, so call our offices, reach out to us. There's no mystery concerning County Treasurer's work. We're just public servants.
Well, we are definitely wanting to make certain that whenever you are here in this immediate area, we're in Highland Park, but if you're anytime in the Detroit area, please feel free to come, and we'd love to have you to come back on Truth to Power. And, on behalf of Watkins Broadcasting, we are so plumb pleased that you have been a guest on this show with us today. And if there's new innovations that you do there, in Cass County, please, don't hesitate to, give me a call, let me know, and we from Watkins Broadcasting can make certain that we get you back on, with us again. But don't go anywhere, because I want to kind of get some closing comments from, County Treasurer Sabree and from Sharp. So I'll ask you first, Eric, since you have the county that probably represents more, is there anything that you'd like to say before we get ready to kind of wrap up, because we got about 10 minutes left in this segment?
Sure. What Hope said was really important. It's, you have a great staff. I have a great staff. I have people who are dedicated. And the number one thing we have to have in this job is you have to care.
Yes.
You have to care. If you care about people, then everything else will fall into place. Even knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, you can find it. We have a great Treasurers Association, 83 counties. We just finished our winter conference last week in Grand Rapids, which Hope was the planner for that conference.
She did
a great job. And we have a lot of educational sessions going on. So we share on a listserv almost daily information from other treasurers throughout the state. So we're always asking questions and helping each other to do a better job. So the number one thing I think is you have to care, and we have treasurers who really care, because we know what's going on, and we are trying to be a positive influence in our county, and not a negative influence. We want to help people better their lives, and help them in their time of trouble or confusion, help them to get on solid ground. So that's really what it is. And I'm fortunate to serve as president of the Michigan Association of County Treasurers this year.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
Yes.
And 2 years from now, Hope, who is our second vice president, will be president of the association.
And congratulations to you too, Hope.
Thank you.
So we're honored to be able to serve, and on behalf of all 83 counties treasurers in Michigan. And in August, our conference will be here in Detroit. So we'll be here. We'll be hosting the conference in Detroit.
Okay.
So Detroit would be fluctuated with treasures from all across the great state of Michigan.
and Letitia, I have to commend you, because you were the catalyst to put this conversation together. So is there anything else that you would like to, and I appreciate you for orchestrating this conversation with Treasurer Sabree and with yourself and with Treasurer Anderson.
Well, I just want to say I want to thank you for allowing us to come today. I am one of 15 new treasurers, I believe. 18. Okay, one of 18 new treasurers across the state of Michigan. So I just would say that there is, in that listserv that he spoke of, and Mr. Sabree is the treasurer. Is the president of the Michigan Association of County Treasurers, that listserv has been a great support to new treasurers like myself, because there's a whole lot of information and a whole lot of information that's given to me daily, as well as the other new treasurers. I am excited about this opportunity. I'm excited about being here, and it is about the people. And I think we're all treasurers for the people. So thank you for your time and allowing us to come here and allow me to wear my hat of treasurer today opposed to co-host. So I enjoyed this segment. I really did.
Well, I want to thank you, and I also want to thank Treasurer Sabri for acting as my other co-host. So anytime, Treasurer Sabri, that you want to come back on and serve as a co-host, you're good at, relinquishing the floor to folks to kind of, talk about some things and make certain that everybody is engaged in this conversation. And Treasurer Anderson, we definitely, again, we want to thank you. We know that it was a challenge trying to go, and you've got, in terms of, say, with your staff, and appreciate the work that you're doing there, and then covering, because like you said, you're coming from almost, 2.5, 3 hours away?
Yeah, 3 hours.
3 hours.
And in this kind of inclement weather like this, so we definitely want to appreciate and thank you for, doing and serving the community. And as I said before, all I'm doing is getting nothing but compliments from people that live out there in Dowagiac, Cassopolis, and they're doing nothing but just steady giving you kudos about the great work that you're doing out there in Cass County.
Well, you'll have to come visit. You all should come visit over here in the southwest corner of Michigan.
It's so interesting too, because Hope, that Jim has invited me to come out there. He just built a house out there, as you probably know.
Yeah.
And he's been trying to get Jim and we're members of a group called Detroit Downriver A. Philip Randolph Institute. And he was a former, president or vice president. I'm currently in the position of being the current vice president, and Andrea Hunter is the president. But we do that a lot in trying to make certain that we can go and keep Jim connected with us, so we know how far that distance is. But we got to wrap up. Hope, I do want to thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I do want to thank you, Treasurer Sabri. I do want to thank you, Treasurer Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you.
And we definitely want you to come back on and do what you do best. But if there's any time that you want to come back, we at Watkins Broadcasting, TV and radio, we want to thank you.
Thank
and
you.
we're joined by.
See you, Hope.
Thank you.
Take
See
care.
ya.
I just want to say thank you,
Thank you.
Patricia, and
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mrs. Sabri for sponsoring us and doing your thing.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
And thank
All
you.
right.
And thank you for winning.
Oh, thank you. Oh, our picture.
All right.
Oh, we're taking a picture? We're live TV,
Oh, oh, okay.
All right.
We can go to commercial break, though.
All right.
No.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind, and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help. Visit us at treasurer.waynecounty.com, and we'll help you keep your home. We're here to help.
to Treasurer Sabree, I know that you mentioned in terms of say about the fact that here you're going to be celebrating an anniversary.
Oh yeah, 45th year.
So
45 years.
I want to make sure that your wife is really knowing that hey, 40 how many years?
45.
45 years.
45 years. That's right.
And just kind of since tomorrow's your anniversary, just kind of elaborate a little more in terms say about you're going to be giving her 24 roses.
That's okay.
It's going to be interesting because
every
you got
year,
an anniversary.
Yeah, every
you
year.
got you got Valentine's Day today. And
I do it today. I usually do it on Valentine's Day. You get 2 dozen. You get your both dozen every day, every Valentine's Day. So I'm going to get roses when I leave here. That's what I do every Valentine's Day. 2 dozen roses, automatic. Yeah, I get my daughter some. I used to get her roses. She said I don't like flowers, so I said okay, I get you something else.
That's sweet.
I used to get her roses. She said I don't like flowers, so I just give her some money or something,
Oh, we like money, right?
But money is so. It seems to be so impersonal when people give.
But she never says that.
Right.
She just appreciates
She
it.
say thank you.
Right.
Well, I do want to say again, I do want to thank you both. We definitely have to do this again.
Well, hopefully we can do it. We'll be back here in August. Maybe we can hope we can be live, and we can all three be live in August when we come here, if we have time.
So now, you about to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say about the anniversary. It's not easy to be married for 45 years.
Oh no, right.
What's
the secret?
Well, I tell most people is this: don't make a big deal out of little things.
That's a good one.
That's what I find to be the biggest issue. Because if I think about arguments that we've had over the years, when you think about it later, when I think about them later on after the fact, I think it was such a small thing. Mm-hmm. Like what was I even arguing about that for? Mm-hmm. So I learned let the little stuff go.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about all that little petty stuff. If I can do that, then it works pretty good. And that's one of the things that I found to me works best. Let the little stuff go. Because whatever you're arguing about, when you think about it later on, 3 months later, it sounds such a small thing. It turns out to be such a petty thing. You say, man, I'm so mad that I was even arguing about it.
Well, these are some words of wisdom from our treasurer, Eric Sabree. So those of you that may look at, he's been married for 45 years. And that's a blessing, especially to be with somebody for that long a length of time, and that's a great,
it is.
And then plus 3 children. And how many grandchildren?
5.
5
grandchildren. Same with Hope. I have 3 children, 5 grandchildren.
No wonder there's so much of a bond between you two then in that respect. Yeah. So, okay, because this is Valentine's Day, Letitia, what are your words of wisdom to somebody who then may want to go and understand why it's important to be able to share with our viewing audience about Valentine's Day? And what does that mean to you?
For me, Valentine's Day is just like any other day. Let's just love on each other every day of the year. And so Valentine's Day falls right in the midst of Black History Month. Mm-hmm. And I think if we learn to love who we truly are, and that is how we give love to others. So, that's my contribution to Valentine's Day is love yourself first, and then you can love on other people.
Okay, and Hope, can you hear us? Okay. If there's anything that we can do to assist your office, or we'll contact Hope and make certain if there's anything that we can do. And again, Treasurer Sabree, we really appreciate you in terms of in realizing how much Watkins Broadcasting, can do to get your messaging across, in Wayne County. And we appreciate you. And on behalf of Watkins Broadcasting, we want to make sure that that's the case. Now, Hope, are you still with us? Okay. But the commercials that you've had, we've shown these commercials over and over again, and you've been such a blessing to so many people, here.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the outlet. Mm-hmm. That we're fortunate to have outlets that we can get our message to. that people will see it.
And what would you say to others that might be, especially like other, like Wayne County, programs or offices that may want to do the same thing, that if met with the success that you've met advertising here at Watkins Broadcasting? What would you say to them in terms of say about how that has kind of helped your department get the outreach?
Yeah,
in the community?
Outreach is critical, using the media, and we like to use the local media that's in the community, because we want to target the people who really need the help. We don't want our message going to Canada or somewhere in Saginaw. We want it to go right here in Wayne County to the communities that need the help. So that's why I said use local media. We use a lot of local newspapers and local TV, radio, so people that need the help will get it.
Well, see, it's like I said, you did something today that really is kind of rare, because our president, R.J. Watkins, came out here and wrapped his arms around both of you to let you know how much he appreciated you coming on this, coming on the set, disseminating information out to our viewing audience, and then also to let everybody know in terms of say that you are and Treasurer Hope are very, very vital in the communities that you serve. So again, plum, please, and pleasure. You've been on Truth to Power. We hope and pray for nothing but success for all of you in your respective communities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you more. All right, you've been watching a special edition, I can't say the word special enough, of Truth to Power with my special guests, Treasurer Sabree, Treasurer Sharp, Treasurer Anderson. I'm Darwin Griffin. I'm your host, and we will see you very, very soon. Have a great, and happy Valentine's Day.